Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on another episode of Let's Talk the Business Spotlight Edition. And I am so honored and blessed to have Dr. April on today. Say hello to everyone, Dr. April.
Oh, hi. I'm so excited to being on the show today.
I am too. I'm ready to dive in. So let's talk about a little bit about you. You want to give us a little bio about you before we get started?
Oh, okay. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about me, myself.
Mhm.
I'm actually a therapist and an author and a creator of four different businesses here in Southwest Florida. I started off working as an accountant through a variety of different things of inspiration, decided to go back and get my degree in counseling
Mhm.
and worked as a school counselor, then later mental health counselor. And now I
Mhm.
have my own practice, plus a group practice, plus a podcast called Bringing Intimacy Back, plus my newest baby of Couples Retreat. So one of the things I love to do is talk about business.
Mhm.
Yes.
And
And
we're
how
about to
that's
do it.
intertwined. Yes. So,
Yes, we're about to do that. I really interested because I personally started to my businesses the last year and a half. So I'm
awesome.
really interested into hearing how, the structure is and make sure I'm doing it right. If I'm not, maybe I'll get some tidbits from you tonight. So
Okay.
I'm
Yes.
looking forward to that. So especially now with COVID going on now, is the Great Resignation, they call it.
Yes.
Everybody's leaving these jobs because they starting to find their purpose. They actually had time to sit down and think about life instead of just doing the automatic rat race. They had months and months and months to sit down and actually getting paid to sit down too.
Exactly.
Well, the stress level's not there. You have all day, you're getting paid, and now you're thinking about like what I'm getting paid more than I did working this job, and I need to find another way to get paid like I'm getting paid now somewhere else. So tell me what you think about that and about entrepreneurship. Like, what do you think about becoming an entrepreneur, especially in times like this?
Well, yeah, definitely it's knowing your value. So I remember myself working and chasing the dollar and trying to
Mhm.
work up and up and up and up. But I also realized that, which I think many people realize, and you spend more time at work than many times with your family.
Mhm.
If you really think about all this, yeah. So you really want to enjoy what you do. And I do, like you said, people have had the time now to sit down and think and say, what should I do? And
Mhm.
I realize in my own journey that it's not just what I'm good at, because I
Mhm.
was good at numbers. So I thought being an accountant would be great. I
Mhm.
can, crunch numbers. But that wasn't really fulfilling.
Mhm.
Yes. So I'm glad that people are taking the time because it's more than just about your skills, but it's your values. What do you really value? What do you
Mhm.
feel your worth is? How does your business or your job or your career fit into your family or into yourself?
Mhm.
Yes. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
people are taking that time to do that. And
Yeah.
it also brings more opportunity for more employment, because it's breaking down these big corporations into
Mhm.
little businesses, which are amazing.
It is. It really is. And I seen a report on TV probably a couple of days ago that people are leaving like jobs that they worked long, hard for, like careers like police officers. She's now a marketing strategist, and there's someone who was working in Fortune 500 company now is a dog working as a pet assistant, a veteran assistant, and grooming dogs. And she said she's not getting paid nearly as much, but she's happy. She loves doing what she does. She loves animals. So she wanted to be happy more than worrying
Mhm.
about the dollar. So I guess everybody has their reasoning on doing it. But I can see a big shift. And I feel the world is not going to go back. It's not going to go back. I think we're going to
Yeah.
have to, because there's a lot of jobs that's not being filled now because of people leaving other jobs. I think it's going to be a rotation. I just think it's going to just be something that's going to just kind of, it's just time for it to kind of flush out and do something different. So I really,
Right. It is a rotation. And if you're
mhm,
out there listening, you're thinking about I cannot leave my job. I have family. I
Mm-hmm.
felt the same way, and I didn't. I didn't leave my job, but I started to create something on the side, a side hustle.
A side hustle. That's side
Yes,
hustle. Mm-hmm.
yes. And side hustles, after a while, after feed them and nourish them, they sometimes can be the big bread and butter.
And you said sometimes, and that's a good question. So why do people who try to do entrepreneurship fail?
For a variety of reasons. And I'm not going to say that you fail, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe something didn't work out. So it
There you
doesn't
go.
mean that you need to tweak it. I mean, it
Yeah.
does mean you need to tweak it, but doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that you need to just quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
just because you go on to
Trial and error.
something, and let's say you start something and it doesn't quite work out,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have that passion. One of the first things I think when you're thinking about starting a business is to find someone in that business that you like and you trust. I call as someone who is a mentor,
All right.
right? And let's say you're doing whether it's therapy or doing painting or whatever, you can find a person that maybe is not in your local city, so maybe you don't find threatened by it,
Mm-hmm.
but someone in another city as a mentor because they can help pull you through things.
That's right.
And then
They been
also,
through it.
yes, yes. So I have a mentor who's years ahead of me. Then I also have someone who's at the same level as I am, because it's good that when you struggle, that you have someone else who's struggling, so you can
Mm,
both.
good point.
Yeah, and that's an accountability partner.
And being a mentor, and even in my life, I know people that are doing things like I'm doing, but I need to really find like a mentor, like somebody who knows that I'm their mentee, like somebody knows that I need to call on them and ask them how do you find a mentor? Like, how do you do that?
Well, it's through going through research,
Hmm.
asking people on LinkedIn, finding people's website. People call me all the time. You
Oh,
know,
really?
Yes, yes, yes. They call me all the time. Yeah. And if it's someone in your field, there are people there who want to give back.
Hmm.
Okay. There are going to be some people who's like, no, I'm not interested, and hang up the phone. But there are going to be people who's going to say, yes, I would love to sit down and talk to you. And
That's good.
give you some of the tips of how I went through the field, and what can be better, what you can do worse, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely I would say it's to have a mentor.
Yeah, and I'm gonna definitely take that advice because I really do need one, somebody that I could talk to and look up to, and so I could become that person to somebody else.
Right,
And
right.
I know
And
that
you
Oprah has said that about being the best leader is to be someone that will work with someone and bring them with you or bring them up, not try to keep everything to yourself. So
right,
there's a lot of people like that out there.
right. And you want to have a mentor for life, because even
Mhm.
as I'm still, oh sorry, I'm still somewhat young, hopefully, but I'm getting to the
Yes, you
age.
are. Yes, you are.
But yeah, my mentor is, he's I think 75 or whatever, 75, 80.
Nice.
Yes. Yes. So he's at another end that I need to be thinking about. So that's why you should have a mentor all the way through.
Right, because you have someone that, with you, you have
Mhm.
somebody that you have to strive to get to, and
Right.
they always gonna be ahead of you because they have more knowledge. So it's kind of like you just following their
Right.
trail when it comes. Of course, you do your own little spill to it, but the foundation of that industry, you have someone to say, okay, yay, nay, or and sometimes they learn from you because if they've been doing it for so long, and then you kind of have a new way of doing things, they could intertwine that with their knowledge and wisdom and end up being something like 2.0, something that's totally better.
Right, definitely. I have I think 13 mentees underneath me right now. So
Wow.
yes.
You have a good
Yes.
Zoom call, don't you?
Huh?
You have a
Yes,
good
yes,
Zoom
yes.
call, don't you?
Yeah, these are Zoom calls. Yes, but I learn from each and every one of them. And they
That's good.
teach me things and I teach them, and we're and there are some of them are accountability partners to each other. But yeah, it's a learning experience. And going back to your other question, I think part of one reason why people don't
Mhm.
succeed is they don't believe in themselves.
Oh,
Because this right here is who I'm selling,
mm-hmm. That's it.
yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself at 100%,
Mm-hmm.
yes, That's what you need to believe in first and foremost.
And that goes back to what you said earlier about your value.
Right.
Because if you don't feel that you have value, then nobody else is going to feel that value either. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm learning that in this journey as well, that, you know, you think that, oh, I shouldn't charge for this, or I shouldn't do this, or I should, or maybe, you know, you got to like, no, no, no. You have value, you have experience, you have knowledge, you did training, you took classes. Like, we took classes and spent hundreds and thousands of dollars being trained to do what we do. But then sometimes we don't feel like we want to, you know, charge like we need to charge because we have the training and experience that we spent money on. So we put value in ourselves, right? We put
Right.
interest in ourselves, but then we get kind of funny when it's about charging for other people. Have you ever experienced that in your journey, or you kind of already had that figured out when you started
No,
to?
I experience that every year. Every year, just because. Okay, so I'm one who believes in doing an average of. For me, I do an average of what my sessions charge, or an
Mm-hmm.
average of how much you're making an hour. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually what helped me decide whether I'd start to leave my full-time job, was because I looked at my average per hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much is this? And as I grow and develop, I realized that I have to start charge more because more and more people want to see me. So I need to charge more. However,
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad about, oh my gosh, what about the people that can't see me because
Mm-hmm.
of, so, you know, of my amount. But then that's when I have all these other people underneath me
Mm-hmm.
that I refer to. So it's kind of like that. And you have to know what your worth is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have an average in my mind. I'm a therapist,
Right.
so I have a good heart, and I love to talk to people and help people. But I have there is the therapist April, who's very soft. Who you tell her a story, she's going to sign you up no matter to everything. It's been a amount of time. And I'll be honest to everybody, there is a business April.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and business April doesn't care about feelings.
Got
She
you
only
have
looks
to
at
live.
she only looks at numbers.
Mm.
So I'll be honest, that's business April.
Mm-hmm.
And these two people, I know it may sound like, oh, April, or you do you have multiple personality, but no, these two people
You run a
actually
business.
meet every two
Mm-hmm.
weeks on a regular schedule to see what I'm doing. Because I do
Mm-hmm.
some pro bono work and I do other stuff, but these two meet. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then for my pro bono work, therapy April really has to convince business April.
Yeah. So the other April really hard, right?
But it's good. It's good. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm passionate about something, yeah, business April backs down. Yeah.
So when did you realize your purpose? Like, when did you realize when you wanted to do what you're doing right now? Was it like a light bulb, or was it like a process? How was it?
Well, I'm a pretty spiritual person. And so I was working as an accountant, working about 80 hours a week and about to have a child and stuff. And I was just complaining. And God told me to step away from work.
Mm.
And I was like, what? He said, yeah, step away, have the kid. And I'm sorry, I'm one of those women who cannot just stay home. Okay. I was like, what do you want me to do?
Mm.
And the next part was, you know, April, let's try volunteering. I was like, do work for free? Volunteer for free? What are you talking about?
You're not talking to me.
But in that volunteer, and I actually volunteered at a crisis counseling center.
Mm-hmm.
I really decided and learned, like, oh my gosh, I really like this. And he kept on me, you know, April, maybe you should think about counseling. And I'm a very shy person. I was like, I don't know, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that process of having faith, yes. And so that's how that worked for me.
Yes.
Yes. But I think part of that's what you said in the beginning. It's that
Mm-hmm.
quiet inner time, listening to your inner spirit.
Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times that takes, you know, to do your work and kind of sit down and focus on you. And a lot of things get revealed, you know, like to do these things, you know, especially if you're
Right.
faith-based like I am as well. You know, I really believe that God talks to us all the time, all the time.
He
And
does.
We don't listen all the time, but he does talk to us all the time. And that's the part of being still. And I believe that when he sat us down this last couple of years, it kind of made people really think, because you imagine how many people have been awakened in the last 2 years. That's why all this is happening, because people are awakening up and realizing life is more than just the rat race. It's so much more than that. And you want to scream that to the hills with people, because it's like, I just realized this. I was doing the same thing. And I was like, wait a minute. This is not, don't get me wrong, I'm blessed. Of course you're blessed because you have a job and you're getting paid. I'm totally blessed.
Right.
But I'm still not living to my purpose. And that's a difference. And that's where you're saying like you have your purpose, your passion, So what do you think about roadblocks? Did you have any roadblocks in this journey that you could tell someone, how to overcome?
Well, yes, and I'm just thinking of one of your other questions further on or back was maybe a year, maybe I think 2 years ago in 2022, in 2020 or right around 2019, God gave me the idea of this retreat business called vacation counseling. He said, start it up, do this and that. Okay. Nothing happened. Started up, no calls, nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. I had meetings and this and that, got all the therapists involved, nothing. It's sad. In fact, I almost totally forgot about it. And then last year, when the pandemic kind of went down, then I started getting these calls about a retreat. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Totally forgot that that was something I had started, but I moved on to other things. And I realized it's about being patient.
Yes, it is.
So when you ask me about what it, in the sense of failures, I always go back. What God hits me a lot with is Joseph in the Bible, one of the youngest of the 12. How he was thrown into slavery. But basically, he started off at the bottom at 17 years old. Didn't get to the top till he was 30. And in between that was put in and out of jail. In that process, he learned about the culture. He learned about a variety of other things. So sometimes you can't just go straight up. You may go up, down, up, down, back up. But you're always learning.
Always moving.
Always moving, yes. And there's a reason behind all that. So my greatest thing is it's not to give up. Keep that in. And also there's times in business where you actually have to sit there and do some groundwork. You can't always be, there's a lot of stuff in the back ends that it's really important that you do. Yeah.
You have to run your business. That could be a whole nother program of, a lot of times you want to just do what you do, but a business is a business. You got to run a business like, documents and paperwork and monies and banks. And, it's a lot to it. It's a lot to it when you get into a business, because sometimes you get lost in your passion and purpose and forget that you get to run a business.
Right. And it becomes a baby. So like I said, I have 4 companies. Vacation counseling, the one I just talked about, that's really still an infant. That is still a baby. Because it needs so much more attention than my standard practice. So I look at it also as stages. And I think that's important, especially in the sense of when you have a family and when you have a relationship and you're starting your business. And they're like, well, you are not spending that much time with me. You're doing this. You're making all these posts on social media and all this kind of stuff. This is what I hear in my couples counseling things. Yeah.
You say you doing all this and yeah.
And I have to remind people, when you start a business, that's like having a new baby.
It sure is. It sure is. And you got to attend to it all day long sometimes.
Right. Because sometimes you don't have someone answering your phone. You don't have a person doing the marketing. You're doing all these things. Yeah. So making sure if you do start one, in all honesty, and also if you have a family or kids, they need to be involved and know what you're doing and that it is going to take away some time.
Yes, exactly. And if they are watching, like I have boys at 17, they seeing mommy do all of this,
Right.
and I think sometimes I'm like, I don't think they pay me no mind, but but I know they are, because they do see, everything, and they ask me questions and stuff, and so they know when it's their time to grind, they have an idea of what is expected, like
Right.
what is okay, I know this is the least of it. Like I know I see mommy do this and staying up late and doing all this stuff, because
Mhm.
you gotta put your skin in. You gotta put skin into the game.
You do. And then what I learned to do was, because I was doing all this stuff, that the time I did spend with my daughter, it was quality. It was not quantity. It was
Mm.
not quantity. Okay, I'll be honest with you. She learned how to cook at a very early age. She did, yeah. But
That's
it
what we
was
gotta
about,
do, though. We gotta do
yeah,
that sometimes.
yeah. It's about quality time.
Hmm. And then you make the most of that time you spend, and those are memories. Those,
Right,
I guarantee she remembers so much more than the average person, because you took that time. It wasn't as
right.
much, but you made the biggest thing
Best
out
of
of
it.
it. Yeah. And then she was like, "Oh, I remember. We did this and we did that. And that's all it matters, because at the end of the day, your memories is what count."
Hmm.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a real good point. So, seeing that we the couple therapy, can you give us a little bit of how it's set up? Is that something that you do a retreat and you meet in person, or is online? Like, how is that set up?
Oh, on couples therapy, I do a variety of stuff. For general couples therapy, I do virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I also do retreats
Mm-hmm.
where couples either come to Southwest Florida or to Costa Rica. And
Good
yes,
choice.
which is exciting. Yes, yes, yes. I've learned how to take my business and add fun to it, and
Mm-hmm.
travel and vacation. That's why I call it vacation counseling, because I get to take a vacation also in some aspects. Got to learn
Smart.
how to tweak things. Yes.
Smart.
But yeah, get couples out of their traditional
Comfort.
setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Get them
Yeah.
relaxed so we can actually go deep and talk about things that are really bothering them. And when
Mm-hmm.
you're talking with the third person, how can I put it? It keeps it where it's not aggressive toward one another. We work on you actually being able to hear each other,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and having someone teach you how to say things, and also just how to have fun together and teach you relationship skills, because some of us did not have the opportunity to see healthy relationships growing up.
And didn't and on top of that, didn't have anyone to show you nothing. They
Exactly.
just, you really didn't put nothing into, like, think about most of us with this race, like they didn't say anything like, don't have sex. Okay, that's
Right.
it. Like nothing was taught, and I think like the respect value of ourselves, like you were saying, value yourself and all of that was not really in given to us. I think people just assumed that you knew that, and they didn't really say, hey, do you know who you are?
Right.
Do you know your value? Do you know that you're not supposed to do this or that? You don't have to do this or that. Like, I think if we was taught a little bit more, and it was nobody's fault, because if they wasn't taught, they don't
Right.
know to teach you. And now
Right.
we are better. We doing better. We know better, and we doing better. And that's why we doing things like this, these kind of platforms, because now we understand the assignment, as they say these days. So I understand what's going on now. So I want to educate people so you don't have to go through some of these roadblocks or some
Hmm.
of these things, and that's what you're doing as well. And with the therapy, you made a great point that when you come out of the hustle and bustle of your everyday life, even if they come to your office, it's not the same
Right.
as going to, because you have something to look forward to, the atmosphere, the breeze, the ocean.
Right. Right.
It
And
puts
it's
your
all
whole
good.
mindset, right? Like your
Right.
whole
Right.
mindset is more of a, I want to get along with you because this is beautiful here. And
Yes.
I want to listen to you because I want to soak this in, because guess what? I have nothing else to do. I don't have
Right.
no phone, I
Exactly.
don't nobody here. It's just me and you. So let's go ahead and get this done. So I think it changes the whole thing when
Hmm.
you go outside of your own walls or even your own town, because
Right.
you'll still have connections with people and you still worry
Right.
about your phone and stuff.
Right.
Very
Right.
good
Right.
point. Very
Yeah,
good.
definitely. And I think retreats actually help, especially women, because then when we're home, we have so many other things to do that we don't
Mm-hmm.
get a chance to spend time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, and when you're starting a business, it impacts. I work with many couples where, especially females, are starting businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and then their male counterparts are sometimes giving them advice, and it's becoming.
Mm. The advice is probably something that they like. That's not me. Because male and I guess is that it? It's because of the male to female thing that their
It's a
advice
male and
is
female
different.
thing. Sometimes you're too close to a situation,
Okay.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, right. The other thing is, as women, and I'll be honest, we have to sometimes have to work harder,
Mm-hmm.
improve things, while men says, just, yeah, but it's a whole different thing. So helping each other, helping them understand, and see people and see their partner through their
Mm-hmm.
partner's eyes, is that
Exactly.
empathy. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point. And sometimes you try to help, and sometimes you end up doing worse
exactly.
because, like you say, you're too connected
Right.
emotionally to it, and that obviously the person business is their baby, so they definitely connected to it. So there you go. That's what that is. So now you say you have your mentees under you, and so what advice do you give them? Like, give me like one piece of advice that you give them in doing entrepreneurship.
In entrepreneurship, I really get on them about spending time having those meetings I just talked about. Because a lot of us love the skill that we do, whether it's being an artist and stuff, but we don't spend time in the business.
Mm,
And that is even having a spreadsheet, knowing what your expenses are, knowing where you are at. Because
mm.
people are going to be trying to sell you 50 million things. I mean, yeah, you have to know
I've been
when
through
to
it.
say yes, when you say no. I suggest praying about it. Yeah, because other than that, you get taken for everything. Well, I can make a better website for you. I can do
Mm.
this better for you. I can do this better for you.
I need to
And
throw
you end up,
something at the screen. Don't tell
yes,
me.
exactly, exactly. So you have to kind of know about that. Check things out. Whether you do, a lot of Google search reviews. That is very, very critical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other aspect, depending what kind of community you live in, you are your business. So
Mm-hmm.
in the counseling world, we have to be careful what we do out in public. And that's in some businesses too.
Oh, that's true. That's in most businesses. Ooh, that is so important. People think you shut off. You're your brand.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
everywhere you go, when you go to McDonald's and somebody mess up your order and you go in there and want to fuss out the people there and they see that you got something on your car, they got your name on it and your
That happened
people
to
don't
me.
get it. You see, and you can't shut off your brand. That's the price you pay for entrepreneurship. You always
Right.
got to do it on your P's and Q's. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their days and moments. I'm not saying that, but you got to be more conscious than the average person that's going to a 9 to 5. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because your bread and butter is still going to come if you go to a 9 to 5. It doesn't come when you have, because one bad review or one bad incident, somebody, especially these days with these cameras all over the place and these phones,
Exactly.
they get you acting crazy, that could destroy your business. All that work for one moment of just being out of pocket.
Right,
You
right. I was somewhere in the store complaining about my iPhone, trying to talk to the salesperson, getting very, very frustrated.
uh-huh.
Getting very frustrated with the salesperson. And then this other salesperson came in and said, "Oh, I got you, Dr. April. You helped my sister." And I was like, "Oh, I was like, oh."
Look, oh, you knew who I was too. Oh, come on. He's like, yeah, Dr. April about to lose it on that line. She needs some therapy today.
So I was like, yeah. So in reference to that, if you're going to party or whatever, I really suggest you do it outside of the area that you practice in.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess that's the same for like all these professionals, like
Yeah.
lawyers, doctors. Because you think about it, you go, well, if I see my doctor, and these people have lives too. We got that.
Right.
I'm not saying, but it's like a funny feeling. If I have surgery on Monday and I see you Friday, and
Right.
you
Drinking.
drunk, and I'm like, yo, this dude about to cut me open in 2 days, and he can't even stand up at the bar. We have a
Yes.
problem. I'm about to
Exactly.
cancel this. I'm gonna have to cancel this one because so yeah, you made a great point that you're your brand. You're your
Mm-hmm.
brand. So you got to think about all of that. The business part of it, like you
Right.
said, you gotta think about that before you do anything. If you cannot handle the business side, don't do it because you're not gonna be able to be successful because you have
Right.
to pay bills.
Right.
Knowing your brand, knowing you are a brand, that's another
Exactly.
part. Knowing who you are,
Right.
because you'll be taken, like you said. All these points are great. You just said because everybody, when you're your baby, like you have a child, we want to buy everything for our child. We want to buy
Right.
everything
Exactly.
brand new and shiny, everything that everybody telling you to get because that's what we do with our businesses. Because I'm one of those. I
Right.
had to stop. I had to stop. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying nothing else
Right.
because you get so attached. You're like, oh, well, this will do it, and this will do it, and this will do it, and you'll end up being in debt before you even get a chance
Just
to
to get started. Yeah.
get
Yeah.
started.
Right.
Yes. Oh, that's a good point. I hope somebody out there is really listening to this. If you're going to start a business and do it, pay attention to that stuff because that stuff will definitely get you because everything looks shiny and new when you're in a new business. And a lot of people know that, and that's why they come at you because they know you're going
Mm-hmm.
to buy because they know you're anxious and ready to make your business grow.
Right. That's why you should pray about who you bring into the
Everything.
business, you know, because we bring in partners that take advantage of us.
Ooh.
And if you're the sole person,
Mm-hmm.
um, and even if you bring in a partner, but it's your brand and it's you, you
Mm-hmm.
sign all your checks and you do all your finances. Do not let other people, even Oprah writes her own checks. Do not let other
She do.
people.
Yes, she do. Until
Yeah.
this day, yes, she
To
do.
this day. Yes,
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 she
yes.
do.
Yeah,
Because
because you
she
need to know. Yeah. Yeah. So don't go in thinking, well, I don't want to know anything about the finance. I'm just going to hire someone. That's just setting yourself up.
mm-hmm. And you kind of think too, I guess because I know I was at one point always thinking that everybody's like you. I can never ever think about doing that to somebody. Like you it's so many people out here that will do it, but I'm like, how can you do that? Like how can you somebody give you a chance and they treat you good and pay you well and you still want to rob them?
Because
Like
hurting people hurt people.
I know, but that's just crazy to me.
I
If you
know.
have a good setup,
Yeah.
you know eventually you're gonna get caught. It never
Right.
fails. So
Right.
why, like when people rob banks, it amazes me.
Right.
People been robbing banks as Bonnie and Clyde.
Exactly.
Everyone gets caught. What
Right.
make you think you're not? What
Right.
is it out here like? Okay, I figured out this formula. I'm not gonna get caught. Like,
Right.
yes, you are. You're gonna be on the news about 2 or 3 days from now. You're gonna be on the news.
Right.
So why do people do wrong by people when they know eventually they're gonna get caught? It's gonna come up.
Right. But sometimes people are so that they have this impulse that if they see something they want it. They
So
see it, they
impulse
want it. And they
override
make
they thought process. It
right,
override.
right, 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 right. So they make these quick decisions and just go for things. So you really do. And if you're taking on a business partner, you really need to meet, talk with them, really see how they flow, meet their family. Yeah, just don't take
Good
anyone.
point. Meet their family and look at how they do business, how they even treat their family, how they talk to their
Oh,
family. It tells you
exactly.
a lot. It
Yes.
tells you a lot. How they treat their wife or husband.
It's
It
been
treats
right.
you. You good
Right.
points. I love this. Yes. This is for the entrepreneur that's thinking about becoming one and ones who are like me who are just new a couple years in. This is really helping me out because it's made me think about a lot of stuff. So I do appreciate this, Dolly.
Right. Do you have a vision board, Regina?
As you funny you say
Oh,
that. I have one right here. I sure do. And I have
good.
an affirmation app that I do every morning. And I
Okay.
say like all my goals that I want to achieve and am working on. I do it every morning. I say it. So
Mhm.
yes, I do
Good,
do
good,
that.
good, good. And do you have little reward systems for the goals that you've been meeting?
I don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have
So let me
little
ask you a
awards.
question. Let me ask you a
Mhm.
question. With your
Sure.
boys, did you reward them when they did well in school or taking the ice
Of
cream or
course.
any of that kind of?
Of course I did.
Then why aren't you doing it for little Regina?
Good point. I will definitely start doing that. Because I guess what I do, I look at the long term picture of being successful in my own right,
Right,
what I feel success is for me in this
right,
realm of what I'm doing. So
right,
I don't really think of like the little.
She
Thank
could
you.
at
Well,
least get
you
an
know
ice
what?
cream cone.
Well, you know what I did do though?
Okay.
I did something different that I never did before. Actually, my cousin, she was celebrating her birthday, and she had asked me to go, and literally it was like a less than a week and a half time frame to go to Mexico with her. And
Okay.
I picked up, and I usually be like, oh, let me think, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go.
Good
I'm
for
gonna go. I'm
you.
gonna do something different. And I'm glad I did, because going there, and we had a couple conversations that kind of woke me up to kind of get this going.
Right.
So it was all worth it. It was worth it. It was worth spending time with her. But the conversation we had kind of woke me up a little bit. So everything happened for a purpose and reason. So
Right.
I'm being
Exactly.
more open to life and doing things and traveling more and stuff like that. So those are my rewards that I have, the bigger. But like you said, I'm gonna do little awards just to
Right.
recognize that I am doing something.
Right. It's also to keep yourself motivated.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think the vision board, seeing the vision board every day, it's called the law of attraction. What you put out there in the
I love
atmosphere,
it.
you get,
Napoleon
and
Hill. Napoleon
yeah,
Hill.
yes, yes. And
That's my
so,
man right there.
yes, yeah. And so having these little rewards keeps you motivated,
Yes, they
because
do.
sometimes you need that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Hmm.
So as we close out this evening, let me ask you one question. What is your one of your defining moments that you could tell me about?
Well, in the sense of my business, what is one of my most defining moments?
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's probably actually that whole retreat. Yes, it was one of my defining moments, in the sense of the reason why, the cost is the cost that it is.
Mm.
Yes, I on one of my retreats recently. It's also about providing customer service. So I had to provide a lot of customer service where it's required hospitals and rehab and a variety of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I had debated on whether I should charge that amount.
Mm.
But after that retreat was over, I said to myself, you know what, April, you would have been pissed off if you charged lower,
Oh.
because you look back, you've accomplished it, you helped them out, there a variety of extra stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it was worth it because of what the fee was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it
I
was
totally
worth
get it
it.
now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was worth it also of all those months of not doing anything, because I realized that at these retreats, I have to shut down everything when I do a
Your life.
retreat. I have to
Yeah.
shut down my, yeah, supervision, my interns, everything. It's all about this couple. Yeah. So knowing I spent that much time preparing for it,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it really is, and
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I chose the right price was, um, meaningful to me
Yeah.
because I knew
And
my value.
they that's perfect ending right there. Knowing your value. I had to learn my value, Dr. April. And I know I put too much into and did so much training and stuff. And my value is worth the
Right,
money I will be charging. It's
right,
definitely worth it.
right,
So I'm definitely God had sent you here today because I needed to hear that for me. And I hope that this helped the Let's Talk crew out here. I hope this helped you too, because we don't think about stuff like that sometimes. We think that, well, who's going to pay for this and don't worry about that. God got that. Don't worry
right.
about that. He got you trained. He has you the ability to have the money to get trained and invest in yourself. Then go ahead and do, because everybody else is doing it. You see it up and down the timeline on Facebook, all these
Yes.
master classes and all this stuff and all this training and all this stuff. And people are buying it because they investing in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not our job to figure out who's going to do it. It's our job to just get the training and know what we're talking about so we could do what we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Exactly.
exactly. So I do appreciate you coming today, Dr. April. I really do. And I hope that we have you again on the show. We do have the Let's Talk show that we have experts come on there and talk about certain things. And hopefully next time we can talk about the more piece of it, more of the couples part on one of our relationship shows, if you're willing to come to do that.
Yes, definitely. And
Yeah.
if I can do a little plug, I'm releasing
Yeah.
my fifth book on
Well,
improving intimacy. and it's actually about business.
Oh, okay. So it's the intertwine of the intimacy with the business, correct? You
With
want
the
to give some
business.
little synopsis of the book before we
Yes, it's
yeah.
about that career experience, kind of what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to be intimate with yourself, knowing your worth,
Mm-hmm.
and how that impacts how you work in a job and that kind of stuff. So it should be out definitely by the end of this month.
Okay.
The career experience of improving intimacy. It's my fifth book in the series. So
And
yes,
say the title one more time.
improving intimacy, the
Mm-hmm.
career experience.
All right. And it's under Dr. April
Dr. April Brown on Amazon.
on Amazon. So if you look under Dr. April Brown under Amazon, all her books will come up. So let's
Yes.
just tell them to look at Dr. April Brown so they can see all your books and be able to select what they need. But yeah, this is a great idea. And I do appreciate you coming on the show today. And for our Let's Talk people, if you have any business you want to promote, any services you want to promote, as you see, this is what we do. And this is my way of giving back to the community by having these kind of platforms to give people like Dr. April as well as myself the ability to let you know what we're doing, and hopefully we could serve you. So if you need Dr. April, I will have her information in the bio section of YouTube as well as our podcast. If you want to reach out to her for services, she knows what you're talking about, as you see. So if you need anything with couples or entrepreneurship or starting a business, anything that you need her services, she will definitely talk to you. So, well, thank you so much again, and everyone have a good night. Thank you.